If you're only watching for the next big-name storm this week, you are already missing the real story. The thing that is about to reshape weather across half this country over the next 2 weeks is not a hurricane, not a single severe weather outbreak, and not one dramatic headline event. It is an entire pattern flip, one that is going to make parts of the East feel like early autumn in the middle of August while the West keeps baking and the Southwest gets drenched. Let me break down exactly what is actually developing, because this is genuinely bigger than any single storm system. Here is the atmospheric setup driving all of this. According to long-range guidance from Direct Weather, a strong pattern shift is forecast to push significantly cooler air out of Canada into the central and eastern United States, beginning around the second week of August, while the western states remain trapped underneath a stubborn, much warmer ridge of high pressure. And this is not a shaky, low-confidence forecast either. Both the European weather model and the American GFS model are independently showing agreement on a deep trough developing over the eastern half of the country during this exact window, and when two major, separately built global forecasting systems converge on the same outcome this far out, that agreement carries real weight with forecasters. Let's talk about who feels this the most directly. The greatest departure from typical mid-August warmth is expected across the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, the Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley. Nobody's calling for anything close to freezing, but the language forecasters are using describes conditions that could genuinely feel more like September, or in some spots, even early October, arriving during what is normally one of the hottest stretches of the entire year. Think about how many outdoor plans, vacations, and events get built around the assumption of peak summer heat in mid-August, and then think about how disruptive a genuine, sustained cool-down feels when it shows up unannounced in the middle of that exact window. This is not just about temperature, though, and that is a critical piece of why I keep calling this a full pattern shift rather than a simple cool down. This same setup is expected to bring repeated rounds of thunderstorms and heavy rainfall across the east, the Midwest, and the deep south over roughly the next 2 weeks, with daily thunderstorm chances possible across parts of that stretch. That lines up directly with the Weather Prediction Center's own official forecast discussion, which describes one of the most active weather patterns of the entire season locking in specifically across the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast, driven by frequent cold fronts and passing storm systems bringing above-average rainfall right through the rest of the month. Now here's the part of this story that I think genuinely earns the word shock, because this pattern is not treating the whole country the same way at all. While the East deals with this unusually cool, active stretch, the western United States stays considerably warmer, anchored underneath a persistent ridge of high pressure sitting near the west coast. At the same time, the Rockies and the Four Corners region keep benefiting from an active summer monsoon, with regular showers and thunderstorms expected across Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and the surrounding mountains, boosting seasonal rainfall totals while keeping temperatures somewhat more moderate in exactly those storm-affected pockets. And then there's the region caught in the middle, missing out on both stories entirely. Texas, Oklahoma, and parts of Kansas are specifically called out as the exception to this broader active pattern, meaning while the east cools off and gets stormy, and the southwest picks up its monsoon boost, this stretch of the southern plains looks set to stay comparatively hot and dry, squeezed into a gap between two much bigger weather stories developing on either side of it. I want to bring the official government forecast into this too, because it backs up the same overall picture from a completely independent source. The Climate Prediction Center's own 6 to 10 day outlook, covering August the 11th through the 15th, favors above normal precipitation stretching from the southwest and Great Basin eastward into the Great Plains, with the strongest odds for significantly above normal rainfall, better than 50%, concentrated across Arizona, most of Utah, eastern Nevada, and southeastern California. That same official outlook shows warmer than typical conditions favored across most of the country, especially from the Rockies to the Pacific coast and across the central and southern plains, with the highest odds of significantly above normal heat centered on the lower Mississippi Valley, the southern plains, and the South Atlantic stretching from Florida through eastern South Carolina. A private long-range forecasting service and the federal government's own outlook arriving at essentially the same conclusion independently. This country is genuinely splitting into sharply contrasting weather zones at the exact same time. Let me explain what is driving all of this at the broadest level, because it connects directly to something I have covered repeatedly on this channel this season. El Niño continues strengthening with the latest weekly sea surface temperature readings in the benchmark Niño 3/4 region, running about 3 degrees Celsius above normal, putting this event at moderate strength and still climbing. Forecasters building this month's outlook also factored in a stalled Madden-Julian oscillation, the global tropical rainfall and wind pattern I have explained on this channel before, layered together with shifting signals in the Arctic Oscillation, the North Atlantic Oscillation, and the Pacific North American Index. All of these signals reinforcing each other at once is exactly why this stretch of August is shaping up to be such a genuinely divided, contrasting forecast, rather than the single uniform summer pattern most people instinctively expect this time of year. So here's exactly what I want different groups of y'all watching for over the next 2 weeks. If you live anywhere across the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, the Great Lakes, or the Ohio Valley, get ready for a genuinely unusual mid-August stretch, noticeably cooler than typical, with daily thunderstorm chances becoming close to routine during parts of this window. If you are across the Southwest, including Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado, expect your active monsoon season to keep delivering regular afternoon storms and a real boost to your seasonal rainfall totals. If you live across Texas, Oklahoma, or Kansas, brace for continued heat and dryness, while a completely different story plays out on either side of you. And no matter where you live, understand this for what it actually is, a genuine pattern-level shift unfolding over roughly 2 full weeks, not a single storm that clears out after a day. I will be tracking this developing pattern closely as we move deeper into August, and I will bring y'all updates as the day-to-day specifics sharpen up. If this breakdown helped you see just how split and genuinely unusual this month's weather picture is turning out to be, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, and share this video with anybody you know across the country, because a shift this significant deserves real attention no matter which side of this pattern you happen to be living under. I will keep watching the models for y'all, and I will see y'all in the next one. Stay weather aware, and I love y'all.